Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Hey, it's Paige from Giggly Squad. Real talk. If there's one store that I absolutely love walking around, it's Sephora. It's my total guilty pleasure. They have amazing brands that other people don't have, and I find something great every time I walk in. And there's literally one down the street from me, so I do that a lot. It's so fun to shop in the store and online, and the products are just too good. No regrets ever. For example, one of my favorite beauty brands is Makeup by Mario, who just launched his new lip gloss that I absolutely love. So the next time you're in the market for great beauty, shop all the hottest products and brands only at Sephora.
We all belong outside. We're drawn to nature, whether it's the recorded sounds of the ocean we doze off to, or the succulents that adorn our homes. Nature makes all of our lives, well, better. Despite all this, we often go about our busy lives removed from it. But the outdoors is closer than we realize. With All Trails, you can discover trails nearby and explore confidently. With offline maps and on-trail navigation, download the free app today.
So we're potentially only doing the one episode, then, or see how we get on.
Yeah, we'll see how we get on. I'm trying to force James to sleep, but we'll see.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so...
To force him to sleep.
Yeah, force him to sleep.
Sleep.
Rehypnol.
Britain. An ancient kingdom with legends of violence, cruelty, and torment in its blood. Join your hosts, Ross, John, and James, as they bravely tread where few would dare. Witness their journey into the horrific history of British horror. They are the General Witchfinders.
So, ladies and gentlemen, goblins and ghouls, welcome back to the 57th episode of the General Witchfinders podcast. For one night only, I'm James in Dorchester, in southern England.
I'm John Pountney in the south of Wales, which is still in the south of Wales, but today I was in the west of Wales.
Ooh. And I am Ross in Dorchester. This time we became part of Doomwatch.
Did we?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently so. This time, we watched episode 4 from Doomwatch Series 1, Tomorrow, the Rat, written by Terence Dudley. It was first broadcast on the 2nd of March 1970, a full 4 years before James Herbert published his novel, The Rats, which we covered way back in episode 4. I, Ross, thinks it seems very likely that Herbert was watching this on broadcast, biro and 100%. Notepad in hand. Doomwatch was a British science fiction series produced by the BBC, which ran on BBC One between 1970 and 1972. It was set in what was then the present day, following a government scientific agency led by Dr Spencer Quist, played by John Paul. Their job? Investigating and intervening in various environmental and technological threats. The series was the brainchild of Gerry Davis and Kit Pedler, the same duo who cooked up the Cybermen for Doctor Who. Davis was the Doctor Who story editor in the late 1960s, while Pedler was the show's unofficial scientific advisor.
Top facts.
Also, what sort of scientific advisor do you need to be on Doctor Who, but they just make it all up as they go anyway? Sorry, guys. Sorry. Right. Their obsession with how science could mess things up for humanity was the seed that grew into Doomwatch. Basically, It's the 1970s version of Black Mirror. The first 2 series ran for 13 episodes each. The third had 12 episodes, although one of them, Sex and Violence, was never aired. Rumour had it that the BBC got cold feet because of its use of news footage showing a public execution in Lagos. Plus, it featured characters who were none too subtle digs at Mary Whitehouse, Cliff Richard, and Lord Longford.
I don't know what the Cliff Richard... What was the analogue for Cliff Richard doing in this story? If it was sex and violence, was he like banging and thumping Eunice Stubbs?
Maybe he was the... It's Eunice Stubbs, not Eunice Subs.
Well, that's not what I've heard.
You said analog, and I think you mean analogy.
Well,
Leave that in if you want, please.
Right. And as with much of British TV from the era and before, chunks of it are missing. Lost to time when the BBC recorded over the tapes they were stored on. At its peak, Doomwatch pulled in a whopping 13.6 million viewers for the episode Invasion. The lead character was Dr. Spencer Quist, a Nobel Prize winner, haunted by his role in the Manhattan Project and the creation of the first nuclear bomb.
No way!
Apparently so. Did you spot him in Oppenheimer? John Paul played him throughout, and you'll probably recognise him from just about any British TV of the time. He played Agrippa in I, Claudius, or I, Clavdivs, as I must always have to say. Eric Anderson in Triangle, and propped up in both the Avengers and the New Avengers. Most of the cast had appeared in one or the other. Tobias Toby Wren, played by a then young Robert Powell.
And very skinny Robert Powell.
Very skinny. He looks like he's in a Britpop band, doesn't he? Who we covered extensively in our episode on the film The Survivor, singular, number 46, if you want to listen. Toby was a major character in Series 1 and met a memorable and rather explosive end in the finale, Survival Code. Powell had only signed on for one series and told the producer that he wanted to go out with a bang, so they blew him up. Apparently, the BBC received more letters about his death than they'd had on any subject since the Second World War.
Were people writing to the BBC to complain that the Second World War was happening?
Dear BBC, dear points of view, why are we still at war? Hitler seems like a good man. He got the trains running on time.
Well, apparently,
Volkswagens.
And as we said, they point out in this episode that we did get motorways because of the Nazis.
Yes.
As I said, we watched Tomorrow the Rat, for which Terence Dudley was on writing duties. Dudley was the producer of Doomwatch at the time, and also directed 3 episodes. Later on, he produced Survivors,
yes,
which we will be covering soon. He also had a fair crack at Doctor Who, directing Meglos in 1980 and writing 3 series. Sorry. And you can tell I'm not a Whovian, can't you?
Yeah.
And writing 3 serials, 4 to Doomsday in 1982, Black Orchid, also in 1982.
The King's
Demons, lovely, in 1983. He even penned novelizations of the last 2 for Target books. Oh, and apparently he also wrote Canine and Company.
The first Doctor Who spin-off.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Amazing.
The first and best.
Which we could do. There's Satus and that, isn't there? So
we could do K9. K9.
Could be a good Christmas special, that one.
Hello, Danger Master.
I seem to remember, like, when I was getting to know John and sort of coming down to Cardiff a lot, that one of the first things that sort of happened once was, I think we went round to John's and John had K9 and Company on VHS.
Yeah. Yes, I did. I never watched it.
Because I'd never seen it. We were we're watching this.
I would only ever get quite far in and then just turn it off, and I don't know why I never finished it. Obviously, also in college, I did build K9.
Yes.
But another interesting factoid is I once went to a read-through for the Sarah Jane Adventures to photograph Katie Manning and Liz Sladen for that said episode where Katie Manning returns as Jo Grant. And in the read-through, I was K9.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, John.
Yes.
Whoa.
I'm
Mistress.
I'm starstruck. Did you do the voice?
Yes.
Oh,
Of course, mistress. Of course, mistress.
Well, Matt Smith was in that episode, wasn't he?
Matt Smith was not at the read-through, master.
Oh, who played him?
I can't remember.
Don't do the whole episode as Kano.
Oh,
Affirmative, master. I think I'm pretty good at Kano.
Were you hoping they said,
very
just
good.
ring John, tell him not to bother coming in?
What, John Leeson or me?
Yeah, John Leeson.
Yes. And it was the other guy. Was the other guy David Brearley? Because they did replace John Leeson for a while. But yeah, so that was
Wow.
2009?
That's gonna end up in the Radio Times.
I did save for a long time a bottle of Brecon Carreg water that Liz Sladen had drunk out of,
All right.
thinking that I could sell it on eBay. But then when we moved up here, Hell made me throw it out.
Simon Oates plays Dr. John Ridge. We've seen him before in the Dummy episode of Beasts, which we covered in episode 40. Apparently so.
Yeah,
And
I think he was like the lover of the of the guy who's the dummies.
Oh, he's like in a cape and stuff.
Yeah,
he?
he's the one who sort of like winds up the guy in the dummy suit.
Yeah.
Yes, God. I
He
wouldn't
also-
have placed him at all, actually.
And Ross's script notes say that he also played Steed in the stage version of the Avengers. There was a stage
Yeah,
version.
apparently so. Yeah.
Interesting.
Crumbs.
Interesting.
Okay,
Not as good as
news
the
to
stage version of Hello, Hello, I'm sure.
Oh, no.
Of course, what could be? Penelope Lee plays Dr. Mary Bryant in this episode. She auditioned to play Barbara, the Doctor's original companion and his granddaughters, but didn't land the role. She did, however, go on to play the Ninth Elder in Richard Donner's Superman. Did she?
Yeah, apparently
Whoa.
So I imagine that's one of the Kryptonians.
Guilty.
Yes.
Guilty. The
Barbara
best.
isn't the Doctor's granddaughter, Cleves. That's Susan.
Oh, okay. I'll cut that out. Yeah.
All right.
Barbara is the school teacher from London,
yes.
comma 1963.
Yes. Sorry.
Whoa, cool.
I
Okay,
will
and-
not allow that to go out uncorrected.
Just bleep it.
Yeah.
And she provided the voice of Lynn Driver in The Plague Dogs, which, for the record, is one of the most horrific films Ross has ever seen, and is probably too traumatized to even approach it for this podcast.
Oh.
Did you ever see that? It was made
No,
by
I've not seen that.
It was made by the same people who did Watership Down.
Oh,
It's about two dogs who are tested
Rabid.
upon, and then they break out of a facility because they want to get back to their owners. And
Lord.
but the whole country goes mad trying to sort of like stop them spreading this plague they've got. And
wow.
yeah, it's very, very sad.
And finally, Hamilton Dice pops up as the minister. You might recognize him as Major General Scobie in the Doctor Who story, Spearhead from Space.
Spearhead from Space.
Yeah.
Filmed entirely on 16mm film, which is why it's such a great transfer on
Oh,
Blu-ray.
interesting. We should probably look at that sometime.
I think it's probably... we should do it, shouldn't we, really?
Should.
That should be the
Final
last
episode.
final episode.
Yeah. Go out with a bang.
And-
Yeah,
Strangled
when
by
one
an
of us
ST.
dies,
Nice.
yeah, we've got to do that.
And as far as we can ascertain, none of this cast appeared in Boone.
No. Yes. So Doomwatch. What amazing titles.
Yeah, is there a mushroom cloud Cleves, something like that? Yeah, of course there is.
Yeah, just
It's-
got all of the things that people were scared of in the 70s.
Yes.
Correct.
Mushroom clouds, what else? Disease.
Yeah.
Bad TV static.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
TV going off.
I'm always terrified if a TV's not on. I've got to turn the TV on in a room if it's...
Like Russell T Davies, apparently, when he goes out, he leaves the TV on because he...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always do.
So what channels do you leave it on, John?
Either 128, which I think is that really or Quest? So it'll be what's that? It sounds like a trumpet
A cat is opening a little flap to get underneath a unit.
that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah,
Please.
exactly. And a rat's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
Crafting some tools.
Yeah.
I think 128 because it'll probably be Antiques Road Trip.
Okay.
I used to leave that on for Kitty because I didn't like to used to leave Kitty in silence, so we'd leave the TV on for her in the day.
But aren't you worried that leaving the TV on all day is just filling your house with vibes of like antique shows and stuff like that, and it's embedding into the walls.
Our house is absolutely full of the vibes of antique shows anyway, Cleves, because it's all I watch pretty much now. As long as it's presented by Natasha Raskin-Sharp, who is my favourite TV pin-up, I don't mind.
I don't have a favourite TV pin-up anymore. Maybe one of the Gladiators.
You don't? Oh my God, Cleves. You need to watch more antiques programs. You need to watch Catherine Southern or Christina Trevanian is a bit of a hottie.
A saber at the Gladiators in any of them?
No, but they did bring back Hunter from the 90s Gladiators recently.
Whoa.
And Jet.
Oh, okay, now we're talking.
Dale.
What happens in this program?
Well, there's a kiddie in a pram and a rat.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, it's one of those things where you don't realise... It's like this is like 50 years ago now, isn't it? And
it's more than 50 years ago. It's like 55 years ago.
55 years ago, and I was saying to James, like, so much has changed. Like within almost our lifetimes, it's almost unrecognizable now, isn't it? When I was saying this to James, it wasn't for this. It was when we was watching Superman 3 earlier, and the TV, the computers on there were just insane. But we're just like so much. But when you're watching this, and they got the little boy being pushed along in that pushchair, very much what I look like. In the kind of pushchairs I was pushed around in, it looks like Eastern Europe from like the 1920s or something, doesn't it? It's insane.
I think that's why we, as an age group, identify with these shows, is because it does look like when we were young, or a bit like that. But that's something I always think watching these programs and a lot of older stuff is how long people made stuff last, and they'd clothes. People in the 80s were wearing... Well, one of my teachers in high school in 1990, 1991 was blatantly still wearing a suit he'd had from like 1976, which you wouldn't really come across now, would you? But also the fashions changed so wildly. I think a suit now from like 2005 wouldn't really look very different to a suit now. Whereas like Mr. Insold's suit, my teacher, which was flared tweed, and he used to wear a massive crucifix because he was our RE teacher.
Yes.
James, you wear a massive crucifix. Inverted. James, he drags one around on his back with,
That's right,
with a crown of thorns on.
That's right.
So I do think that these programs they do remind you of those aspects, that it was still like, for a lot of people, it was still the war. And I think they were quite pleased to be...
It was the Cold War, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, to make a show of how little they had to live on sometimes. And I do find that with boomers now, they talk about stuff like that when it's like they're the biggest consuming generation of all time. But they created that world. But they're like, I grew up with rationing, and it's like, no, you didn't.
No, your parents did, and they fucking, that's all they fucking talked about. That's the thing.
And I think that's the world that Doomwatch. I think the world that Doomwatch describes is, and that's what Kit Pedler and Gerry Davis tried to do with Doctor Who, is to bring like modern science into quite a cozy world that's averse to change. Obviously, there's the Cybermen, which was to do with organ transplants and the possibility that you might have a heart made out of plastic and pacemakers and stuff like that. But then also you've got all the different episodes of this series where they go through, and then the film as well, where the film is slightly different, but you do have all that sequence of the clash of.
And like you said, a lot of new things were happening. So it was.
Well, yeah, it's the era of Man on the Moon when, literally less than 100 years before that, people were just had horses and carts and stuff and steam trains. And then there's a Man on the Moon, which is true. And if anyone wants to fight me, I will fight them.
Oh, exactly. I'll join in with that. But it drives me fucking mad when people say the moon in the States.
But what we're seeing here is something which seems to was a massive fear in this era, was rats. So, so why do you think that was? Was it because that like bomb sites and stuff were still around, so rats were on there? There was like strikes where all the big where rats were all
late
over the
70s. Yes.
Yeah.
And it just felt
I mean, even in a place like Birmingham, bin men weren't collecting the bin bags, and there was piles of bin bags spilling out onto the streets, and rats were everywhere.
Yeah. So
That's,
it just felt
and
like,
that's happening right now. That's my point.
Absolutely, yes.
but I think that's something which I talk about in our survivors notes, is that everything they were scared of at this point in time is actually happening now. You know,
yeah, it's still the same thing. And,
Yeah.
and this episode is very much to do with, you know, genetic augmentation of it's not too dissimilar really to AI and stuff like that. It's like, oh, if we tweak this rat too much, is it going to turn into a rat that can use a knife and fork to open a trap and stuff?
Yeah. So we're sort of going ahead. So it was quite nasty. The little kid in this push chair is like calling to a rat, going, "Hey kitty, kitty, hey kitty," and then the parents just start screaming because obviously like, the rat is, and then I think you find out the rat has killed the kid.
Yes.
Is that's like a pre-title sequence, I think, is it? And then you get
Pretty much
the Doomwatch Doom title sequence, and then we're straight into where this happened, which is by a school, and it's a bit Coronation Streety, the set, I thought, from like when you used to watch Coronation Street in the 80s and all the rooms looked like the size of a shoebox.
Yeah, because they all fit into one set.
Yes.
But again, so much stuff in this episode ended up in James Herbert's book. The school,
massively.
The department who are there to try and clean it all up and everything. It's just it's just mad how much he ripped off from this script.
From the first minute, because I've never seen this before, I was like, oh my God, this is literally just like James Herbert. Just waited a few years and then just rewrote it.
Put more sex scenes in it. Although there was quite a bit of sex in this one.
It was a bit weird like that, wasn't it? I thought some of the dialogue was really iffy just very strange. But I'm struggling to remember anything that happened because I've made notes, but I watched it about a month ago. Yeah. So all I can remember is these passing vignettes of what happened in the episode.
So essentially, they're trying to work out why we've had so many different rat attacks, and then they
rat attacks.
And they realise that. And
that's a great name for a band, isn't it?
And there's a guy who's like the minister, and he's talking to a scientist, and basically said, they're going to work out that we've been doing these genetic experiments on rats, and this the head of Doomwatch is going to come and start asking questions, and the female scientist is basically saying, well, yeah, but you told me I could do this, and he's like, yeah, but have you got that in writing? And none of that happened here. And he goes, well, you told me to do it at home because it was easier to do that. So basically, he set her up.
Yeah.
And they are talking about like, how much money they have to spend on rat, trying to control the rat population. And they thought that if they did some kind of experiment which made the rats want to eat each other, that it would save them a lot of money.
That's what I thought. But I've got to say that this program really made me think that programs from this area don't treat the audience like idiots. Because if you miss dialogue, you've missed it. The story isn't explained to you 58 times in exposition, and they're talking about stuff, and you're like, this is really highbrow. The dialogue is really highbrow, and you're like, I'm struggling to follow this because it's really fast. And I thought, they said something about cannibal rats, and I was wondering, was that the point that they were trying to invent rats that would eat each other to keep the population down? But what they actually have done is then somehow given it samples of human flesh or something.
Well, no, so what we find out is that the fear was that because what they've actually done is made these rats more intelligent as well, and the fear was that they might start attacking humans. So as part of the sort of the fail-safe was they were doing some kind of aversion therapy on them to make them not want to eat
humans.
So I think so they had in the lab they had a plate with human flesh on it, which would give shocks to the rats if they tried to eat it. So that
I see.
So that they so they got up to the point where they would learn that human flesh would be
painful.
Yeah.
Yes. So at this point, I've said the other scientist is quite Thatchery. I'm not sure who I'm referring to there. And I've said cannibal rats, and then I've said in quotes, I'm not a whore.
Yes.
I think that might be the dodgy dialogue that I'm thinking of. Is this where she's in a bar and someone comes to proposition her and she gets rid of him, but then one of Doomwatch comes over and
she does the same routine to him. So basically, she's saying, "I'm not a whore, but I do like having sex, but she said to the guy, but you're not up to my standards, so you got no chance." Yeah. And I think it's just
it's very odd dialogue.
Yeah, but I think
it's so 60s, isn't it?
60s, 70s, and it's kind of like look how risque we are that we got women actually admitting that they like having sex, and we are actually outright talking about sex in a public on television and stuff like that. So it's just like this is late type risky TV, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think it's a man writing his idea of a woman's dialogue talking to a man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always only ever going to be what a man wants to hear. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was really weird and strange. And
because what it is the head of Doomwatch meets this female, the lady who's behind the rat experimentation, and but he can't quite place her. But then he remembers who she is and sends out like the Lothario, the guy who's got like the naked sheaves and the open neck shirts and stuff.
He's a bit
Austin Powers,
isn't he? Yeah. not the head and face, but like the body and movements.
And essentially says, go and have sex with this woman and find out what she's
all the secrets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But she does manage to pull her and get some of this information out.
Yes.
And they wake up the next morning and I think someone's horse has been attacked by a rat. And
yes.
Which is quite a nasty effect.
Is it in the paper? Does he read about it in the newspaper?
Yeah, it ends up going in the paper. So a young girl goes to feed her horse in the morning and there's quite a nasty...
Oh, yeah, the guts.
Yeah, well, the guts of the horse all spilled out and stuff.
Oh, the guts. Spilled your guts. I've done that a few times.
This evening alone.
Yeah. I after that with it, I'm not a whore. I've got written pics on the wall of mushroom clouds. So is there? Do they have an office where they've got lovely photos of mushroom clouds?
That's in the Doomwatch offices. Yeah,
it's a reminder. This is what we're fighting against, guys. Yeah. Don't forget.
I loved that. I just thought that's my teenage bedroom. That's like listening to Suede, 1994, The Asphalt World. I've got mushroom clouds in my eyes. It made me think of the Quatermass one where they're talking about the moon landings in an office, and on the wall to prove that's what they do, they've got a massive picture of the moon.
Oh yeah, it's a map, isn't it? So they can point to a bit of it later on.
Yeah, and it's like if you everywhere you work, you must have a visual representation of what you do on the wall.
But you've got to have the visual representation also. If your job was a TV program, what would the title sequence look like? And what would the title sequence of your live TV program, John?
Well, I think mine would be a bit of camera, and the camera would move in closer to you, and then in the lens would become my face, like the Starfield Tom Baker Doctor Who title sequence, and maybe I'd wink.
Yeah, and then it would
then
it would do like a reverse, and you would just see a toilet and the door.
And then it would be the sound of a flush.
That's how the episode would end.
Yeah,
and every episode. Yeah, in every episode, I have a phone number. If you've been affected by anything
on this, I was going to say the amazing scene because I said to Ross as we were watching it, it's a bit slow. It's a bit slow, it's just a lot of blokes stood round in offices talking to each other.
That's life, James.
I know, but for dynamism and TV and suspension of disbelief and all of that. But Ross just went, no, hang on a minute. Watch this scene. It gets really, really good in a minute. It gets really good. And it was when Robert Powell and John Paul stood around like debating and talking about like what's happened.
Yeah.
And they start to figure out that like the rats have fashioned tools and have escaped their traps.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're talking about intelligent rats here. And the next thing you know,
Rattius sapiens.
And then they're suddenly attacked by the rats. And I said to Ross, it's slightly reminiscent of the rat scene from Fawlty Towers. But like all of a sudden, they like Robert Powell's got like a rat on him.
They've got rats attached to their trousers. And they're whacking him with saucepans.
Yeah.
And Robert Powell managed to get one detached and sort of smashing its head against the table.
Whack-a-mole.
Incredible. And it's weirdly reminiscent to the listener at home. If you've seen the tremendous movie, the Robert Eggers movie, The Lighthouse, it's very similar to what Robert Pattinson does with he grabs hold of a seagull in that movie and does very similar. But it's just Robert Powell beating up a rat against the table. It was an amazing sequence.
It is the key scene, isn't it? Because it's in the Coronation Street-esque kitchen.
Yes.
And I think, are they coming in under their boiler or something?
Yeah,
aren't they?
there's a hole behind the boiler. Yeah.
So they're and they've basically left traps for them, but they've worked out how to
use knives and forks to keep the doors open and stuff.
Which I think is a brilliant idea.
Yeah, but it's one of these things. I can't remember. There was another film where there was a similar kind of premise. It's like they say, "Oh, the cat." They brought the knives and forks with them, and they've used it to keep the doors up on the traps. It's like, but you think like, how would that work? They haven't got arms, they've only got little paws and stuff like that. And it's just like one of those
they haven't
things
got opposable thumbs.
Yeah, it's just like describing it doesn't mean it's possible. And then when you start picturing what that is, it just turns into like a cartoon or something, So at the sound of the rats, it sounded like all the rat sounds we've heard in any 70s TV program with rats in it. So at Barty's party, there was the same rat sounds which were in that, like the scratching and the squeaking and stuff.
Probably literally off the same LP that they've got somewhere.
But going back to when Robert Powell was in the house, they were sort of like they were telling the people in the house, it's okay, you go in the other room, we'll wait here, we've put some traps in.
This is the mother whose child is being killed.
Not yet.
Isn't it?
The child dies later on. The idea of like you just go into someone else's house and just like
start smoking
in there. It was so weird.
I watched a thing the other night with Harry H. Corbett being interviewed on TV in like 65, 66, and the interviewer's smoking. Yeah. And then Harry H. Corbett gets out a ciggy and he lights it while they're talking.
Yeah.
And it's all, and I just think, is that backwards or are we backwards? Because it's like, you watch stuff now, you put things on Netflix and it's like, warning, cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's like, cigarettes don't offend me.
No.
Maybe they do young people. I don't know. I don't know what youngsters get up to these days, to be honest. Helle's been watching Adolescence all day while I was in there. So I came back and I had the debrief on that about murdering schoolgirls and stuff. And I just think, where the fuck did all this come from? You don't have to put this in, please. But
people talk about it at work, and if people at work talk about it, I'm not going to watch it.
No, well, that's what Lee has said, apparently, because obviously he's got 2 daughters as well. And so he said he doesn't want to watch it. But it's like, what a man. Just the internet has sent 13-year-old kids insane. And that would have been on Doomwatch if Doomwatch was on today, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The internet.
Definitely. I think that's the biggest danger to society at the moment is literally just the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's an unregulated...
It's driving everyone mad.
Well, it's just an unregulated slew of what you want to see. And if you want to see videos about how anything has happened, has done you wrong, you can find those videos, can't you? So when we were growing up, you had 3 channels on TV, all made by very regulated professionals with their editorial standards.
Yeah.
And now you've got...
paedophiles.
Yes, but it's still...
But they kept it to themselves.
No, it's so different, please, because it's just everywhere. It's totally just... It's like that guy, Jeff Buys Cars, that came and bought my Volvo. When I look at his stuff now, he's like, he is the other side of reform.
Mm-hmm.
He's like literally for like sterilizing everyone and fucking blowing up the world and stuff. Yeah. But his channel is ostensibly about buying old Volvos.
Yeah.
It's just mad. I think it's all, and I think that would be, and I'm surprised, I don't really watch Black Mirror, but I'm surprised Black Mirror hasn't done something about how insane the internet is, where you can just get any kind of mad content that just backs up your worldview.
Yeah. And speaking of which, if you want to get early access to our podcast with no ads, sign up today for Patreon and patreon.com/GerryWitchfind.
Instacart is on a mission to have you not leave the couch this basketball season. Because between the pre-game rituals and the post-game interviews, it can be difficult to find time for everything else. So let Instacart take care of your game day snacks or weekly restocks and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Because we hear it's bad luck to be hungry on game day. So download the Instacart app today and enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Service fees apply for 3 orders in 14 days, excludes restaurants.
Hey, it's Paige from Giggly Squad. Real talk. If there's one store that I absolutely love walking around, it's Sephora. It's my total guilty pleasure. They have amazing brands that other people don't have, and I find something great every time I walk in. And there's literally one down the street from me, so I do that a lot. It's so fun to shop in the store and online, and the products are just too good. No regrets ever. For example, one of my favorite beauty brands is Makeup by Mario, who just launched his new lip gloss that I absolutely love. So the next time you're in the market for great beauty, shop all the hottest products and brands only at Sephora.
Optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Eat smarter at factormeals.com/listen50 and use code listen50 for 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/listen50. Code listen50.
This is Paige DeSorbo, the co-host of Giggly Squad. I have exciting news. McDonald's has all new McCrispy strips. It's chicken made for dipping. Tender, juicy white meat chicken with a golden brown, peppery breading. It's chicken so good it deserves its own sauce. The creamy chili McCrispy strip dip, a sauce that's creamy, savory, and sweet with a little heat. But it works with any of our sauces. I'm personally a barbecue sauce girl. Even sometimes I like ketchup. I'm just like basic sometimes. But I also need it in addition to any new sauces I'm trying. With the new creamy chili McCrispy strip dip, it's chicken made for dipping, only at McDonald's.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Where are we up to now? Because I've said live vision mixing, intelligent rat, rat attack, seduction in trousers and a dressing gown.
It's just like an incredible a cryptic crossword, isn't it?
Yeah.
Seduction.
There is a scene where the Austin Powers guy is in the woman's dressing gown. Is that right?
Yeah, this is post-coital. That's when they're having a discussion about is it right for her to play God with the genetics of animals, and she starts talking about a sort of natural selection with humans, and
yes,
and he starts saying, this is kind of eugenics, and basically what the Nazis did, and she starts saying, but at the same time the Nazis did do some good things, like give us the motorway and stuff, and so it's just
she hasn't been on the M5 to Exeter, has she? Fucking hell. So I've written down here, you're not a woman, you're a biologist.
Yeah.
Weird emancipation dialogue. No drama would have dialogue like this today.
Which went on for so long. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But again, it's the scenes in it are really long, aren't they?
Yeah,
so
and also I was thinking there would be no drama with anyone with these type of accents anymore.
No.
They were so upper class.
Yeah, all
RP.
All RP, yeah.
Is that your cat or my cat?
So now is the bit with the horse with its guts out. The scientist is called into the office and there's a cover-up. They're basically trying to cover it all up now, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So then I've said rat test. What happens in the rat test?
I think that's where they drip some. So they give it. She's trying to prove.
Blood? Yes.
Yeah, she's trying to prove that none of these rats will attack humans. Because she said one, they're all sterile, and if they did escape, they would all be dead by now.
Yes.
And then she's saying, but also they've been conditioned not to eat human flesh. So they give it some peanuts. They give it some human flesh. Where they're getting the human flesh from is not really explained.
I did question that.
Yeah, and then but Robert Powell accidentally cuts his finger, and then he drips some blood in there, and the rat goes nuts, and they go, they're like sharks.
So, is it explained at any point how they're not sterile?
I missed that bit.
Yeah, so did I. Because then there's a bit where they go into her little laboratory room.
Yeah, so she's basically saying there's no way they can get out. This is completely sealed. I haven't even been in there. But they go in there and they check all the walls, and then they realise that the special electrifying pad, which is a sort of like condition not to eat human flesh, has been tampered with, and they've made a little
lever. They've invented the lever,
yeah, to lever up a thing in order to get through a hole which they've made behind the panel, so they have escape.
Yes, which I absolutely loved, that these little bastards have invented the lever. Because I think, get rid of humanity. Humanity is filth. And if rats take over, I'd be like, fine.
Thank God.
I just go and jump off a bridge and drive my car into a wall. And then the rats...
I can imagine you becoming king of the rats, John. The rat king.
Maybe I would start to transmogrify into a rat and my teeth would come out.
Like Splinter.
Is he not just a giant rat?
Well, it all depends. It's different, wasn't it, James? The cartoon in the comics was slightly different. I think in the comics, was he a man that was turned into a rat, whereas in the cartoon, he was a rat that turned into a man.
Oh, okay. Well, I just stick with Transformers. I have never read Ninja Turtles. So I've said the main guy is quite Third Doctor in this, which I don't know if that's a mistake or a deliberate thing, but he's quite hectoring and kind of patrician and points at people a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, I do feel like the Doomwatch group is too big. There's too many characters.
There's too many. Well, maybe that's why they blew up one of them at the end of the. Yes, it's more than a TARDIS crew, isn't it? You'd never have that many people in the TARDIS,
unless you're Chibnall. Then the more the better. The
more the merrier.
Yeah.
So then I've written rat out of a toilet. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Is that the follow-up to Bat Out of Hell? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Like a rat out of a toilet, I'll be gone when the morning is
that's Rat Out 2, wasn't it?
No, I was going to say, that's that album that Jim Steinman made when he went out on his own without Meatloaf, and it failed really badly.
But one of my good memories and exciting memories of things like that was once, the night before the Stones played in Cardiff, I was going on my way into Jumping Jacks, and I could hear the Stones doing their sound check, and they played Bitch off Sticky Fingers, which I don't think they played live at that point, and it sounded fucking amazing. And then I had to go into Jumping Jacks and listen to things like Sex on a Beach and
the theme to Baywatch 4 times.
And Eiffel 65's Blue.
Yes.
Like my memory of Jumping Jacks in Bournemouth was that the drinks would go up after a certain time, so people would buy like loads drinks and line them all up on a shelf, and you'd have to get someone to protect your drinks while we went to dance.
Yep.
And there was one time I was in there and the fire alarm was going off all night, and they just carried on playing the music over the top.
Why not? Yeah, of course. We probably did that.
Yeah, and they were dancing around someone in a wheelchair, and the person in the wheelchair looked like they were quite distressed, but I said, are they okay? And they said, no, she's loving it. Yeah.
Oh, there we are. That's fine. We used to have VK Blue and VK Cherry.
Ooh.
And I remember that spilling onto tables, and people would wipe it off, and it would take the varnish off the table. And people were drinking. It would be like pay £1 to get in and get 5 bottles of this shit.
Yeah, there was a guy walking around there with a fake lanyard, taking pictures of people, pretending he worked there.
No.
We used to have Mike the Milk, who was this horrible old man who would come in with apple pies and stuff he'd supposedly baked for the staff, and they'd all be like, oh, thanks, mate, that's great. And then they'd just chuck it all in the bin.
So we should explain to this as why you went to Jumping Jacks quite so often, John.
I was paid to be there.
Yeah.
The in-house photographer.
Yeah, I was the club photographer in Cardiff Jumping Jacks from 2004 to 2008. Some of the best years of my life spent with TV's Danny Dyer, Aswad, E17 without Tony Mortimer, 9/11 as I like to call them. I can't think who else. Jason Donovan.
Oh,
wow. All the greats.
Down teeth.
Yeah, it was the real graveyard slot at that point. But then a few of them now have had quite a comeback. I mean, Danny Dyer, massive comeback.
Career renaissance, man.
He was insane. I sat for quite a while, sat on the fire escape stairs with him because he was terrified that the club was full of Soul Crew football hooligans who had come in because he's in like football films.
Yes, yeah.
He was on stage for about 2 minutes. The doorman couldn't control these Soul Crew. So he went and locked himself in a shower cubicle with 2 women. And he wouldn't come out until like 3 a.m. And then I was just sat chatting to him because I was like, my life is so weird.
It's not as weird as being the voice of K9.
In a read-through.
Yeah.
The actual cast.
Actually, that's quite a mad selection of stuff, isn't it?
It is a good.
But it's strange that photography really has led me into all of those odd places, which is quite strange, actually, isn't it? I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Danny Dyer and Jax was absolutely mad. We had all the High Street Honeys. We had
Is that an official term or something you call it?
Yeah,
No.
from FHM
Ross.
magazine.
Oh, it might be more Ross for you in Australia.
Right.
Yeah.
FHM for Him magazine at its absolute zenith and peak it started doing this thing where they basically got women who works in supermarkets and pubs and what have you to say, send in pictures of you in your pants and we'll publish them in the magazine. It was like a very, very vanilla Reader's Wives.
Yes. And then
Really
they did,
sweet.
every year, they did like a free special
Yes.
booklet with them all
Yes,
in
they
that
did.
was like the best of the year.
Yes.
But then we had, I think we had Lucy Pinder, who was one of the main ones. But she,
Fond memory, James.
I saw her years
as,
later.
As
on
my
a-
dad would say, she was healthy. That's how my dad would describe her.
Years later, I saw her on a program, and she was like the biggest Tory of all time.
Oh,
I was like,
no.
fuck, that's mad. Like, you've led this mad life, but you're actually a massive Tory.
That's like Holly Willoughby, who is now basically a Nazi.
Yeah, scum, subhuman
Subhuman
scum.
scum.
I was always on Philip Schofield's side.
No. Oh God, no. I'm saying the wrong person. Not Holly Willoughby. Sorry. Right. That's because Ross has been trying to show the girls Holly Willoughby videos earlier.
Yeah, I was trying to find a clip where she almost wet herself, and it just wouldn't let me find it on the YouTube. And the fact I kept using voice recognition, going Holly Willoughby wets herself in front of my kids over and over. It's a bit of a weird.
Holly Willoughby wets herself. Siri, show me Holly Willoughby wetting herself.
The person I was talking, I actually meant was Holly Valance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
she's
dreadful.
She's a horrible. She's a horrible, basically a Nazi.
Did
Sorry,
she not
Holly
want
Willoughby.
to stand for
Like reform? Yeah.
Yeah,
Dreadful.
just absolute scum. Holly Willoughby, I apologise, but I'm sure you
Yes,
might
me too.
actually be a Nazi by now.
Yeah, possibly.
A lot of TV people are a bit like that because they're always like, I got here through hard work and determination, and it's like it's not hard work; it's fucking nonsense around. Right, we're nearly at the end, aren't we? So they've invented the lever. The main rat out of a toilet, rat attack. Oh,
Yeah, so we have like a montage of rat attacks with rat headlines,
Amazing.
and this is basically the plot of the rats. The rats attack a school.
Yes.
Rats come out of a toilet and attack
Rats in space.
Rats in space. Rats in cupboards. No rats gnawing off the penis of any tramps.
No tramps.
So that
Not
was
tonight.
So that's probably the only original content to the rats we can give to James Herbert.
Yes.
Whereas everything else was cribbed from this. And then they basically just say, okay, we need to pour a load of chemicals down the drain.
Yes.
But they do find that the rats have been farming mice to eat them as
we need to go on to that part in a minute. I've got to say this sequence really reminded me of Spearhead from Space. Second mention tonight, when all the Autons come to life in episode 4 and they come out through the shop windows and shoot everyone in the street, which you wouldn't again have on telly now. People like burning to death after being shot by plastic robot aliens. The bit where they're farming mice in like the tube tunnels or something, and then you look in and it's like a wasp's nest type thing.
Yeah, they're building like rat hives.
Oh, I loved it. I thought that was amazing. I thought, right, I want episode 2 of this where they have to go into like the rat hive and
With a flamethrower.
yeah, it's like The Thing or something, isn't it?
Yep.
It's brilliant. But that isn't explored at all, is it, really?
No.
Because then, as you say, Cleves, they're like, yeah, okay, there's too many rats. We've just got to pour all this shit
So basically,
down
they've used up all the runtime having long conversations in in like really boring rooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now they're just gonna tip all this poison down the plug hole,
and then have a montage of actual real rats actually dying.
Yes. But they said also it might not be too good for cats and dogs as well, kind of thing. But then the kind of weird, incredibly bleak ending is that we go to the scientist who's invented all of this stuff to find that the mother of the dead child has found her.
Yeah, very Jaws-esque, this bit, I thought.
Yeah, yes, spits at her.
Yeah,
repeatedly.
Yeah, repeatedly, and quite horrific.
Yeah,
you don't see people spitting on people in television.
I thought it was really vicious. And then the ending is incredibly bleak, where I can't remember how it happens.
So basically, the woman, the mother, tries to stab the scientist.
Oh, there's blood.
Yeah, and she manages to overpower her, and then the woman breaks down and leaves. But she's cut her arm, and she walks back into her sort of rat lab, and then the Lothario from Doomwatch, who's got all dressed up in a tuxedo and a bow tie to come and shag her.
He looks lovely, doesn't he?
He did say, "I'm going to get myself dressed up and look wonderful and come over and have sex with you," even though she's just been reading in the newspaper that like loads of people, including school children, have been died based on her
get you in the mood.
on experiments. And he's like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm going to come over.
Romantic ambience.
Exactly. We're still going to have sex. I don't care about that.
Put a Mantovani record on and have some fondue or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
And he turns the lights on, which something I realise, and this happens in Survivors as well. When they turn the lights on, they don't flick on because they can't do that in a TV studio. They have to fade up.
Yes.
Flicks the switch, all the lights fade up, and they find the flayed leg.
Nord corpse.
Corpse. Really quite horrific body.
Hugely horrific, yeah.
Body of the scientist who's been killed by her own creations.
Because I thought at this point, she's a really good character. She's a good actress. Maybe they're going to have her in the rest of the series or something, because I don't know about Doomwatch. But no, they're going to actually have her eaten by her own rats.
Yeah.
Which I was just like, wow. Another thing that they wouldn't do on TV today. Absolutely no way. Very shocking ending. The end. So what are the scores on the doors, fellas?
Ross, you go first. Oh, okay. Having watched earlier, I watched the one which we're going to be talking about next time, which is Survivors. And bearing in mind how good Survivors was, immediately watching this, it did feel like a bit of a poor relation.
Oh, interesting.
So there was a lot of just men, as we said, stood around in rooms talking. So even though I admire the idea behind the show and the attempts to, let's try and do, a team combating things that, scientific scares and things which go threats to humanity. I did feel it was a pretty dry old affair. So I've got to say, it's 2 for me.
2 from James.
Interesting.
I'm giving it a 3. 3. I really like TV from this era, and it felt to me like the film version of The Rats, and it's something which I've always wanted to see since I watched The Rats as a kid.
Yeah,
and,
read The Rats.
Since I read The Rats as a kid. So I got to see that, and it's also I like Robert Powell, and it was good to see him in his skinny younger years. But yes, I think it's just a little bit too slow, but. I am going to actively seek out the other available episodes of Doomwatch and just see what other things they do cover.
Yeah, I felt the same. I'm probably going to watch more. They are repeating them on Talking Pictures, Cleve.
Yes, so that's why we did this, wasn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, because you said they're showing Doomwatch on Talking Pictures. Maybe we should cover one of them.
Maybe I've just forgotten huge chunks of the past year.
Yeah.
Compared to Survivors, I agree with you, James. That's the first episode of Survivors does have quite an epic feel and spread to it, which maybe doesn't continue throughout the series because they end up kind of planting veg and stuff. This is quite slow, but again, I do like you say, Cleves, I do like TV of this era where you kind of, the dialogue is allowed to run.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, if you watch something now like Elizabeth, is it Elizabeth R? It was called, or just Elizabeth? The one with Glenda Jackson, or, the Keith Michelle, Henry VIII. The episodes are just people talking in rooms for fucking days. And it's quite hard to watch now because I don't know if people then were more used to going to see plays, and a play would be just people talking in one room set or something.
Yeah, but if you watch Wolf Hall, at least they say something. Some of the episodes of Wolf Hall is just Mark Rylance like looking at a painting.
No, I disagree with that.
Well, I do love Wolf Hall. It's great. It's something you just need to get used to watching because
I never really got on with it because I thought it looked quite odd and it was lit in quite a strange way. But I did enjoy this, and I would give it a 3.5, I think.
Cool.
Because of its kind of good, wholesome, post-apocalyptic 70s dread, which is something that I'm always there for, basically.
Yeah. Well, I think, we've watched a few TV programs from this era.
Yeah.
And I think so far this would be something which I would have been like, I'm going to watch this next week. See what...
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can see why lots of people watched it back in the day.
Yeah.
Because,
huge numbers.
Yeah, if something like shit like the Black and White Minstrel Show or something was on the other side, even though they were on the same side, I would definitely watch this. I don't know if this was BBC Two or BBC One, I'm not sure. But I think when you think of the types of things that dramas are now, I think this is a very brave thing to put on at prime time.
Yeah.
Obviously, people are doing other things now and, reading about Andrew Tate and stuff.
Yeah.
That's why they're not all watching TV. But, I think if you put stuff on that people are kind of interested in and invested in, they will watch it. A bit like Gavin and Stacey, which is quite weird, isn't it?
I've never seen it.
Has that got
Killer Rats in it?
No, but it pulled in like 18 million viewers. So it proves that it can be done. It's just like, I think people have kind of lost the knack of doing it with dramas, which is quite strange. That everyone, same with Quatermass, everyone used to gather on the telly on a Friday night and pubs complained that it was on telly because the pubs were empty.
Wow.
And this is another,
which is weird because they were watching people watching TV on the telly in
a pub.
Yeah.
There we are. Excellent.
Next time, we're going to be watching 28 Weeks Later. Okay, until next time, see you all later.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay safe.
Thanks, everyone. Love, light, and peace.
Happy day.
Happy days.
You have been listening to The General Witchfinders. Support the show and continue the conversation at patreon.com/General Witchfinders. Subscribe and spread the word at generalwitchfinders.com. Farewell, and don't have nightmares.
Hey, it's Paige from Giggly Squad. Real talk. If there's one store that I absolutely love walking around, it's Sephora. It's my total guilty pleasure. They have amazing brands that other people don't have, and I find something great every time I walk in. And there's literally one down the street from me, so I do that a lot. It's so fun to shop in the store and online, and the products are just too good. No regrets ever. For example, one of my favorite beauty brands is Makeup by Mario, who just launched his new lip gloss that I absolutely love. So the next time you're in the market for great beauty, shop all the hottest products and brands only at Sephora.
Out here, it's not only the amazing views, but the way time stretches out a little longer. How laughter bellows louder among friends, and how the breeze hits just right at the summit. With All Trails, you can discover and experience the best of nature. With over 450,000 trails worldwide and navigation right at your fingertips. Find your outside with All Trails. Download the free app today and find your next outdoor adventure.
Hey, hello.
Nothing. There's nothing there.
Oh.
Oh, that's better.
Where's
James?
I'm in Dorchester. I'm in the lounge.
Oh, is that what it looks like?
Yeah.
Where's
You need to mute. He's in the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen. You need to mute yourself on Google Meet.
So, James, you're in the window in the lounge at the
I am.
window.
Yes.
So so you can't do it together in the same space.
We tried, but it's
too echoey.
Echoey.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Oh, that's annoying, isn't it?
Because I can hear him and he can hear me, and then we knew it just drive
Everyone mad.
mad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a good job you went all the way there to do it. Though.
It is.
Yeah.
Just to sit in another room.
Yeah. So, we should just say to you should say this is a slightly different setup than usual, listeners. So, if the audio is a bit bad, it's because James has come to join me in Dorchester, and we're in different rooms from what we'd normally record in.
Rooms.
How are
in
you?
the same room.
How are you, John?
John seems pretty quiet to me, by the way. I don't know what he's like.
Yeah, he's quite quiet.
That's unusual. Do I need to sit closer to the...
Maybe a little bit. Is there a gain, a volume thing on your mic?
No, nothing.
Oh.
I've never... Oh, it's not plugged in. How the hell is it working then? If I've got the...
It's coming out of it's picking up your mic on your Mac.
I've got it turned off.
Much better.
That's better,
That's
yeah?
it. You're live. You're with us.
I'm in stereo now.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Right, should we do it?
Yes,
We're
let's
going
do
to
it.
do
We've got
Doomwatch
an hour.
first. Yeah.
Oh, fuck, have we?
Yeah, because for the trains back, the one train goes at 10:22, and then the one after that at 11:38. It's a bus replacement.
Oh, Jesus!
So I wouldn't get home till 1:37 in the morning.
So we're potentially only doing the one episode then. Are we? Or see how we get on.
Yeah. We'll see how we get on. I'm trying to force James to sleep, but we'll see.
Okay. Right. Okay. So
to force him to sleep.
Yeah, force him to sleep.
Sleep.
For him,
sleep.
Right. So this time we watched episode 4.
Sorry, the background sound of the cat like
having a shit. It's
Is
almost fucking hurry up. Get out of that.
But what is all the cat litter?
It's just digging around. Get out of that box. It's just
Get out.
It's come out now. There we go.
Good. There we are.
That's the extra at the end, Ross. Right.
Yeah. There's not police lights outside your house, Cleves, is there? There's like a blue light behind James.
Often a blue light comes down our road. I don't know why.
Not a disembodied blue light, just hovering at...
No, not like... No.
No.
Right.
So... I think it's a kid screaming outside. That was quite...
It's not Helen, is it?
It's quite disturbing.
It's like Ghostwatch. It's like
Peeps. That was
shit. There's someone in your mirror behind you, John.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
I think it's disgusting. Makes me sick.
Quite a remarkable reaction. All from the same area. That's interesting. Not all of them children. 15 cases in 10 days. 3 elderly women, 2 elderly men, 1 bedridden, and 1 injured cat.
Hey, it's Paige from Giggly Squad. Real talk. If there's one store that I absolutely love walking around, it's Sephora. It's my total guilty pleasure. They have amazing brands that other people don't have, and I find something great every time I walk in. And there's literally one down the street from me, so I do that a lot. It's so fun to shop in the store and online, and the products are just too good. No regrets ever. For example, one of my favorite beauty brands is Makeup by Mario, who just launched his new lip gloss that I absolutely love. So the next time you're in the market for great beauty, shop all the hottest products and brands only at Sephora.
Optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Eat smarter at factormeals.com/listen50 and use code listen50 for 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/listen50, code listen50.
This is Paige DeSorbo, the co-host of Giggly Squad. I have exciting news. McDonald's has all new McCrispy strips. It's chicken made for dipping. Tender, juicy white meat chicken with a golden brown, peppery breading. It's chicken so good it deserves its own sauce. The creamy chili McCrispy strip dip, a sauce that's creamy, savory, and sweet with a little heat. But it works with any of our sauces. I'm personally a barbecue sauce girl. Even sometimes I like ketchup. I'm just like basic sometimes. But I also need it in addition to any new sauces I'm trying. With a new creamy chili McCrispy strip dip, it's chicken made for dipping, only at McDonald's.